stop on Sunday in Victoria. A follow-up on the child taken to a hospital Friday after an injury at a daycare in Victoria. And the 4 whistleblowers who were fired after reporting AG Ken Paxton, the FBI vowed to continue their legal fight against him.
Well, we had an interesting night with the big thunderstorms rolling through our area. The last of the activity is now down over Port Lavaca. They're getting some pretty heavy thunderstorms and winds down there. We were very fortunate we didn't get any of the hail here in the city that I'm aware of. We'll be talking more about how long this will last coming up in a few minutes.
And many area teams are undefeated in district, including 2 local schools that had a rough start to the year. That and more in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. On Friday afternoon, a child was hurt at the Bright Stars Learning Academy's second center. That child had to go to the hospital. Tonight, Victoria Police still reviewing the incident. 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick has more on the story. Adarius?
Don, a family member confirmed the toddler is in stable condition. However, the investigation is ongoing. It happened Friday just before 1 p.m. in the 100 block of Cozy Circle Drive. The child was taken to a hospital out of town. Several parents mentioned issues with the daycare. We reached out to the parents of the toddler who was hurt. They did not want to talk. We also reached out to the director at Bright Stars Learning Academy. They declined to comment. We did check the state's website that monitors daycares, and we did not find any major issues with Bright Stars. The state's Child Care Investigations Division has an open investigation at the facility to see if abuse neglect was a factor or if there was violation of state minimum standards. The results of an investigation will be turned over to the Texas Health and Human Services Commission, which licenses child care facilities in Texas. Don, back to you.
Adarius, thank you. You can check if your child's daycare on txchildcaresearch.org. You can also search for a licensed child care center or home and see which daycares or child care operations were suspended, revoked, or have refused to renew. Here's your viewer poll tonight. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Have you checked your child's daycare on the state website? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 21% of our voters say yes, 79% say no. Thank you for voting. We want to hear from you and come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. A traffic stop leads to multiple detentions and arrests for human smuggling. Sunday, a Victoria County Sheriff's deputy made a stop on a 2022 GMC pickup truck for driving on the shoulder on U.S. Highway 59 near State Highway 185. The driver, 24-year-old Juan Antonio of Far. In a second vehicle traveling in tandem was 28-year-old Andres Reyes of Far and 29-year-old Elias Hernandez of Donna. Those 3 arrested for human trafficking and 2 other charges. 8 migrants from 4 different countries found in the stolen GMC pickup. The migrants released to the U.S. Border Patrol. This afternoon around 3:30, Victoria Police made a traffic stop near a liquor store that led to a vehicle bailout around the 900 block of Nursery Road. 12 subjects fled from the vehicle into a private residence, but 1 person was detained. Authorities still currently searching the area with ATVs and drones for the others. This is an ongoing investigation. The man who shot and killed 23 people at a Walmart in El Paso has agreed to pay $5 million in restitution. According to court filings, Patrick Crusius will pay that to claimants in the federal case. Crusius pleaded guilty to 90 federal charges in the 2019 shooting, including hate crimes. Earlier this year, he was sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences. Crusius still facing state charges over the shooting, and prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. Due to recent rainfall and more expected, Victoria County officials lifted the countywide burn ban this morning. Richard Castillo, Victoria County Fire Marshal, stated that recent rains helped just enough for the county to lift the burn ban. However, many areas still very dry, and he urges everyone to exercise caution when burning. No official reports of red tide have been made in Matagorda County, but multiple dead fish have been found along the shores of Sargent Beach. The Bay City Tribune reports concentrations of the red tide algae that were offshore of Galveston are now moving down the Texas Gulf Coast. The Texas Tribune reports Texas Park and Wildlife estimates that the fish kill at Sargent Beach is associated with red tide. Let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pennis. Mac, we got some rain on a Monday night.
Yeah, we wanted the rain. We didn't need the hail. That's good. A little bit of street flooding out there at the mall. You can see right about there, quite a bit of water came through pretty fast. Now the stormy weather is continuing to move south very rapidly. Let me show you radar. You can see how here's the city and how most of the storms have passed our area. The big stuff is really happening down there at Seadrift, where they're really getting howling winds and stormy weather, but it will be moving offshore. But there's more expected tomorrow, and the temperatures may actually be reasonable. I'll have more on your weather coming up in just a moment.
Mac, thank you. In Bexar County, a human skull discovered near Highway 90 and Loop 1604 on December 23rd of last year. Authorities now have new identity sketches. You can read this story on crossroadstoday.com under News. The city of El Paso has opened an overflow shelter to handle the amount of migrants coming into the U.S. City leaders say El Paso reaching a breaking point with a surge of migrants crossing the border. The city already has about 6,500 migrants and is receiving more than 2,000 every day. One city leader says while the city is getting monetary support from the federal government, they need a long-term solution. Mexican leaders have started blocking migrants from riding on cargo trains. Last week, a Mexican railroad operator temporarily suspended 60 trains due to the influx of people. And Mexico's immigration authorities have deployed agents to prevent people from climbing aboard. U.S. Border Patrol agents made 8,100 apprehensions Sunday, with 2,100 in Eagle Pass. 4 whistleblowers who were fired after reporting Attorney General Ken Paxton to the FBI have vowed to continue their legal fight with their former boss. The employees were fired by Paxton after making good faith reports to the FBI about actions taken by Paxton for the benefit of Austin area real estate developer Nate Paul. Court filings show the whistleblowers argued Paxton failed to uphold key parts of the settlement agreement, including the $3.3 million payment and a promise to apologize for calling them rogue employees after they were fired.
Today, we filed a renewed motion asking the Supreme Court to lift the abatement and restore our case to the active docket. We remain hopeful that the Supreme Court, like the trial court and the Court of Appeals, will reject OAG's ridiculous argument that the Attorney General is above the law.
Paxton threatening legal action against Comptroller Glenn Hagar if Paxton does not receive back pay for the period he was suspended and awaiting his impeachment trial. Autumn officially here, and with the fall and winter holidays quickly approaching, experts say it's a good time to rein in your spending, strengthen your savings, and create a year-end financial plan.
The countdown to Halloween, Thanksgiving, and winter holidays is on, and experts say now is a great time to tackle your expenses to avoid a financial holiday hangover.
First and foremost, Christmas happens every year on the same day, so knowing that it's coming, allow yourself the time to prepare.
Here are 3 tips to prepare and make the most of the upcoming season while keeping your budget in check. 1. Plan your shopping and expenses ahead. Decide in advance how much you need for this holiday season and start putting money aside now.
Create a Christmas or a holiday sinking fund so that you're earmarking money that's specifically designated for the holidays and you're not forced to dip into your emergency fund.
Tip number 2, audit your spending. Look carefully at your typical monthly spending, checking for areas where you can cut back now to better manage any additional spending you want to do later.
So you want to be able to have your ducks in a row. You want to have your finances organized. You want to have cash on hand.
And tip number 3, if you're planning to travel, book early and consider international destinations. With one travel expert saying some overseas flights may be cheaper than domestic options.
There's just going to be a lot more deals on flights to Europe, a lot more deals on flights within Europe, deals on hotels in Europe going forward into the fall, into the winter, and beyond.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so when you're on YouTube, you can get Crossroads Today. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. Police chased a golf cart on a bizarre pursuit in Los Angeles. Also ahead, Congress heading into a critical week to avoid a government shutdown. Police chased a golf cart in a bizarre pursuit on Sunday in Los Angeles. The LAPD responded to a report of a possible stolen golf cart and assault with a deadly weapon shortly after 9 p.m. The driver, who had a dog on their lap during the chase, refused to yield to officers, leading them on the low-speed pursuit. The driver eventually cornered in a parking lot of a convenience store. They were arrested and the dog taken to an animal shelter. Some Lahaina residents able to return to their burned properties today, a month after the devastating wildfires in Hawaii. Those who were allowed to return lived in the northern part of the historic town. Health experts worried about the toxic soot in the ground. They don't know the long-term health risks that come from exposure. The governor has said that it could take 3 months before the town is fully cleared for re-entry. The fires killed 97 people. It's looking increasingly likely that a government shutdown will happen in Washington later this week. The House only has a few days to pass several large spending bills to keep the lights on at agencies from the TSA to the Department of Agriculture.
Time is running out for Congress to strike a deal to fund the government, and a government shutdown is looking increasingly likely to occur Saturday at midnight. Speaker Kevin McCarthy telling reporters today that the House could vote at, quote, any time on a short-term continuing resolution to keep the government open, but didn't specify when.
First, put up the rule, be able to do the appropriation bills, and then we can move to the next.
How soon could a CR be voted on then?
Well, we've got the CR working now, so we could do it at any time.
The logjam is being caused by disarray within the House GOP, and frustration is mounting in the party against the very conservative members who are refusing to compromise on issues like border security and support for Ukraine.
I think Kevin's going to continue to negotiate until the end. But the Republicans need to vote for Republican bills, and we can avert this shutdown.
But Democrats control the Senate and the White House. So even if Republicans in the House eventually agree on a bill, a government shutdown may not be averted unless the spending bills also have the support of Democrats and moderate Republicans. If the government shuts down, as many as 4 million federal workers could lose pay, including military personnel and law enforcement, while members of Congress would continue to receive their six-figure salaries.
Funding the government is one of the most basic fundamental responsibilities of the Congress. And if Republicans in the House don't start doing the job, we should stop electing them.
An administration official telling ABC News that the Office of Management and Budget has started reaching out to other federal agencies to make sure that their contingency plans are up to date in the event of a shutdown. In Washington, Liz Landers, ABC News.
One eastern North Carolina town still cleaning up after Saturday's encounter with Tropical Storm Ophelia. In Belhaven, Ophelia's east winds pushed the storm surge into downtown with flooded streets and damage in many businesses. One business owner said although the damage was worrisome, the town was very resilient and everyone came out to start helping almost right away.
Came back on 7:30 Saturday morning and it was just up to the door. No flooding as of yet, so we thought we were in the home clear. And then about an hour later, there was 10 to 12 inches inside the store.
The town manager says the water level's back to normal, so the recovery process will not be stalled due to any high water.
And good evening, everyone. We had some stormy weather roll through the area already. It's down along the coast, so skies are beginning to clear to the north of that. If you got some good rain, great. Hopefully we didn't get too much hail damage. We did see one thunderstorm that had that potential. We'll come up and talk about the tropics and how much more rain we're going to get this week. All that coming up in just a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. We got about an inch of rain in the city as that big storm came down right down 77 and rolled through the city. That storm is now in Port Lavaca and moving offshore. Sea drift is getting pretty strong rain right now. Also, Goliad is under the gun with this thunderstorm right over there, and all of this is moving south. So if you're in Refugio, you're probably going to be next about 11 o'clock or midnight as this tire line continues dropping southward. There's a sea drift you see right about there. You can see the big storm that came right through Port Lavaca, and I'm thinking somebody got hail there. So let me know. Take a picture of it and send it to me, and be happy to share it with everybody. But most of the stuff now moving offshore as the little frontal system is moving down through the area. That's what triggered the activity this afternoon. Of course, daytime heating also helped. But tomorrow we're going to have a very unstable atmosphere. We're probably going to see round 2 of this. This is going to settle down overnight. Tomorrow morning we'll see the clouds, and then in the afternoon we'll pop probably a few more showers. Our temperature right now, unbelievable, 73 degrees. When was the last time we've seen one of those? Yeah, we're getting applause for that. And that was after getting up to 98 as a high temperature. Of course, that nice cool air came from the top of those thunderstorms back down to earth and made it comfortable. So again, you can see how we're beginning to clear right about here. And you can see Cuero right about there. They got a big thunderstorm too. There's Victoria. Most of the activity now dropping south as that little frontal system that could actually made it through. And tomorrow we'll probably see a little bit of a north wind in the morning hours. That's going to be interesting. Forecast highs for tomorrow, 92. Better than 98, and pretty much still in the 90s back in East and West Texas. We, of course, are looking for a little bit of change because there's the front that came through today. Tomorrow, we're going to see this little thing pushed further down, so that's why I'm looking for a north wind for about a day and a half, and that's going to make it, you know, fairly comfortable. The thing is, we're going to have an unstable atmosphere. We'll probably get more showers popping in the afternoon hours for tomorrow. Here's the next big storm coming out of the northwest. We'll watch to see what it does. In the tropics, we're already all the way to Ophelia and Philippe. Philippe is out there in the mid-Atlantic. We'll talk about him tomorrow. And Rena is likely to be organizing in the next couple of days. If you haven't get a chance to go fishing, your sunrise at 7:18 and your sundown is at 7:18. Just know that while it'll be calm in the morning, there will be afternoon thunder showers, and the winds will not be out of the south. They'll be out of the north at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Very interesting. Unbelievable stuff. Look at this. 90 degrees tomorrow in Port Lavaca, partly cloudy with additional showers. And then again in Cuero, we're looking for a 93. I mean, it's almost cold with a north wind blowing and additional thunder showers by the afternoon hours. Your 7-day forecast, well, your Tuesday looks like to have a good chance for more activity. And then it decreases on Wednesday. Notice that we'll get that northeast wind by evening and an east wind on Wednesday, Thursday. And then we'll have a garden variety chance for a few afternoon showers. But notice one thing, there's no heat advisories in the forecast for the next 7 days. And we'll stay in the low 90s. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. And then I can tweet and text you and tell you the rain is coming, the rain is coming. And Crossroads today. And now it's time for Gino's Sports.
Thanks, Mac. We see where area teams are ranked in the state. Multiple move up while others don't. That's coming up after the break. At a crossroads, the Texas High School state football rankings are out, and 5 area teams are listed in the top 10. The Refugio Bobcats are the highest ranked team in the area after a dominating 61-0 win over Bloomington. The Bobcats are 4-1 on the season and on a 4-game win streak since falling to Hitchcock Week 1. The Bobcats are looking to have a commanding grip on the district with a win over another 1-0 team in the district, the Three Rivers Bulldogs. This will be Refugio's first home game of the year, or excuse me, away game of the year, as they travel to Bulldog Stadium Friday night. The other big cats in the area, the Tidehaven Tigers offense has been spectacular, but the defense might be more than that. Through 5 weeks and 4 games, they have not allowed a single point. The Tigers are going to be featured in the game of the week this week, since the red, white, and blue will be taking on the once-ranked East Bernard Brahmas. East Bernard is 2-2, but the 2 losses came against Edna and the Hitchcock Bulldogs, which are ranked in the state as well. The game will be in Tiger Country Friday night, and we will see if Tidehaven's shutout can continue. Unlike the Dallas Cowboys, the Edna Cowboys are slowly moving up in the rankings, even though they have not played in multiple weeks. The Cowboys are eager to get back in the saddle and hoping to gallop past the London Pirates. London's only loss came this season against the Refugio Bobcats back in Week 2. This will be Edna's first district game of the year and will look to join the likes of Goliad and Palacios, which both won their district openers this past Friday. Edna now ranked number 7 in the state. The Yoakum Bulldogs are right behind the Edna Cowboys at number 8. The Bulldogs are making noise in Class 3A Division I and are looking to clean up any issues the team has until district starts next week. After reevaluation, this might be the toughest district in the state, with the number 2 Columbus Cardinals, the number 4 ranked Hitchcock Bulldogs, the 4-1 Hallettsville Brahmas, and the number 8 ranked Yoakum Bulldogs, along with Hempstead. Yoakum's lone loss came in Week 3 to Cuero. And speaking of the Gobblers, they continue to take care of business and remain unbeaten heading into district. The Gobblers are the favorites to win the district title and are the only team in the district with a winning record. Cuero will host the Giddings Buffaloes in a couple of weeks since Cuero is on bye this Friday. The Gobblers stand pat at number 4 in Class 4A Division II. Out of the rankings but undefeated in district are the 2 Victoria public schools. The Victoria East Titans dominated last week against the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. The Titans won its 2nd game of the season since winning Week 1 against San Antonio Taft. East will host the undefeated C.C. Miller Buccaneers on Friday. Meanwhile, the Victoria West Warriors also get their first district win and first win of the season against C.C. Kings, shutting them out 53-0. West is going to take on C.C. Moody on Thursday night in Corpus Christi. Moody lost its first game to C.C. Veterans Memorial 42-0. Well, that's your sports. Don, back to you.
All right, Gino, thank you. And stay with us coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, this month is designated as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Victoria County. This month designated as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Victoria County, inspired by the life of Cameron Lee. She was diagnosed with a type of bone cancer back in 2011. Cameron became an example of courage, love, and hope for the Victoria community. It is Cameron's inspirational life that was recognized this morning at Victoria County Commissioners Court.
And dedicates this proclamation to Cameron Lee, whose brave fight with cancer has greatly raised awareness in Victoria County and whose example continues to be an inspiration to us all.
Cameron Lee lost her fight with cancer back in July of last year. She was 9 years old. Cameron's grandparents, the Reverend Fred Hobbs and Bessie Hobbs, were at Commissioner's Court for the proclamation reading. A reboot of the U.S. version of The Office could be in the works. It's unclear if standout Steve Carell, John Krasinski, Jenna Fisher, Mindy Kaling, and Rainn Wilson would be in it. I think that's Mac's favorite actor, Rainn Wilson.
I'm just wondering how they're going to do that.
I don't know. Well, they say original showrunner Greg Daniels set to return. A Collider article from last year quotes Daniels saying he's not sure about bringing back the same characters. Rather, he thinks a new version of The Office should be part of the original program's universe. Okay, what say you guys? Do you like the old one or maybe a new version of The Office?
Well, I love the old one.
I love the old one.
But you got to kind of leave it alone.
Yeah.
Maybe start something new.
Something new.
But I mean, you can't go back.
New characters, same situation.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
We agree.
All right.
Too perfect to touch.
Well, we'll see if the writers get off strike and then they can start working on it.
Somebody can write it. Yeah.
Well, you know, the Rain have been on strike for several months here, and I guess it's back to the work for the Rain.
Went back to work. Yes, the rain came through, almost an inch of rain in the city. All the heavy stuff is now moving offshore. Those of you in let's see, Refugio County, you're going to be next with that big thunderstorm cell headed south, but it was a good rain. Hopefully you didn't get any damage. A little bit of street flooding, but it was moving fast, and tomorrow we have a good chance of getting a little bit more thunder shower activity, so hopefully we'll get a little bit wetter.
All right, Mac, thank you. And finally tonight in Michigan, a 2-year-old girl went missing last week for several hours, forcing a huge search party for her whereabouts. Her mother said she was missing along with her 2 dogs, Buddy, a Rottweiler, and Hartley, a Springer Spaniel. She was eventually found by a rider on an ATV, cuddled up to Buddy the Rottweiler, using him as a pillow while she slept. Hartley kept watch nearby. Her mom says the 3 disappeared after her uncle told her to go inside and put on her shoes.
He had told her to go inside and go get some shoes on because she was barefoot. And he was around the corner on the porch, and she said, okay, and what he thought went inside, and my gut told me to go check on Thea, make sure she's not getting into any trouble, and that's when we noticed she was not here, and the dogs were not here.
The little girl was found nearly 3 miles from her home. Her mom says that despite wandering away in her bare feet, there was not a scratch on her. They are very fortunate.
Yes,
very fortunate.
I think she was well protected by that Rottweiler. Nobody was going to get near her.
Oh, well, no, we're glad about that. But,
absolutely.
you know, 3 miles and then, can you imagine
with
that
no
mother
shoes?
going, with no shoes, that mother going, where's my child?
And the
Where's my
Rottweiler
child?
going, come on, let's go home.
It's like Homeward Bound.
Yeah, Homeward Bound. That's a sequel like The Office.
There you go.
All right, guys, thank you. And thanks for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Join Karina Garcia and meteorologist Trey Mining for 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.